Hello, this is the All Ireland podcast. My name is Dylan Murphy, and here with me today, I once again have the amazing Lauran Beth. So, thanks for joining me, Lauren.
No bother, Dylan. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Sure, I'm grand.
So, I suppose just kind of get started. Obviously we've spoken before, but for those who might have never heard it before, how would you kind of describe your music? Like, give us like the sales pitch. Who is Lauran Beth?
Well, I guess my music's a bit of everything. Like, I suppose it could be kind of on the more mainstream pop side, but I've influences from like rock and like old like 80s classics, and
Hmm.
I've influenced. I'd say if you had to put me into a label, I'd probably just say pop or alternative, maybe.
Like, can you give us specific names? Like, who would you kind of look to for inspiration?
Well, one of the reasons I started music was Avril Lavigne.
Okay.
Um, and 5 Seconds of Summer were also a huge inspiration. Like, they kind of um, inspired me to start writing. But right now, I'd say people like Melanie Martinez or the 1975
Yeah.
Marina and the loads of different people kind of collectively inspire me. So I have influences from all different.
So do you think that your influences change a lot?
I think so. I think when I was younger, I definitely listened to just one specific. I was very kind of narrow-minded when it came to music. Like, I would
Okay.
only listen to like Green Day or Blink-182 or My Chemical Romance. I would be like, oh, I don't like anything else. But as time has gone on, I explored other genres and kind of get all different sides of music. So I think my influences are there's definitely more influence now from many different genres, which is good,
Right.
like, because they're from all different perspectives.
Whereas before you were kind of looking to kind of emulate kind of one artist at a time. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And now I feel like I've kind of found my own personal, you know, concepts and
Yeah.
like style different people.
Okay, well that's very good. How did you get started with music? What's your history with music, and how did you start performing the way that you do now?
Well, growing up, I was always like kind of musical. I always played traditional Irish music, like
Okay.
younger, before I started learning
Mm-hmm.
the guitar. And like my family is kind of musical, as you know, Dylan. But you know, my father like was in bands and stuff, and my mother was always music going on, like in the
Yeah.
background, always music and whatever. So when I was about 11, I was like, you know what, I kind of want to learn guitar, and I just asked my parents, like, oh, can I get a guitar for Christmas? And then it kind of stemmed on from there. I kind of taught myself other instruments along the way, and that was really kind of the pivotal moment when, I started to love music for everything that it is.
And when did Lauren Beth become like your identity? We'll say. When did that kind of start?
I was I was I started my YouTube channel when I was 14, and I remember because I actually didn't tell anyone. I was like, right, I'm just gonna do this for the crack, because I had loads of random other channels that are probably still out there, that like I made like vlogs with my friends and like all
Okay.
that. So then I was like, oh my god, you know what? I'm just gonna make one, and if I stick with it, I stick with it, and if I don't, sure, look, be grand. It was originally called. Then I remember we were actually, I think we were in the car one day, and my mum said, oh, Lauran Beth would actually be a cool name. It'd be kind of different, because like, how many Lauren Murphys are there in the world? Like, oh, I was like, you know what, Lauran Beth would be good. So I think I changed it about 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, I kind of started from there, and that's how it started.
And was it difficult at the start? You know, you started releasing videos on YouTube and stuff. Well, is it something that takes a while to get used to, or is it kind of a casual thing? I'll just sit down and take out the phone and record.
It's a bit of both because it's kind of chill. Like, oh, I might record a video today, or I
Mm.
might practice for a new YouTube video, or put up a cover on Instagram or something. Like, it's chill in that way. But once you start playing, like, for me, it has to be perfect, and I can't have any mistakes. Not probably people won't even notice. I'd be like, oh, I have to start again. So it's difficult in the way like you can't like you want it to be perfect because it's
Yeah.
gonna be out there, but you can do it whenever you like, wherever you like, kind of a thing. So it's a bit of both.
Okay. So, shortly after you started YouTube channel, roughly around the same time, you were on the Toy Show in 2016. Can you tell us about that experience? And do you have any kind of insider knowledge, I suppose, on what the experience is like?
Well, I think I auditioned twice before, but I don't know if the first time counts. I sent in a USB to when I was to the Late Late Toy Show when I was 11,
Mm.
and I didn't hear any word. And then I was in this music camp like a year later or 2 years later, and we wrote our own song, and we got to go up to Dublin for like the second phase of auditions, and that was a lot of fun to get that far. It was such an experience. And then when I was 14, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to audition for the toy show again. Like, why not? And I sang Fix You by Coldplay. And then I got to go up to Dublin and do the second phase of auditions again. And I was like, oh my God, like, imagine, because ever since I was a child, I was like, oh my God, toy show. Like,
Mm.
we would watch it every year and whatever. And then I remember one day on the toy show, and I was like, like I'm pretty sure I cried, and I'm pretty sure Mammy cried too, if I remember. I think, but no, it was amazing. And then we went up a couple of times to practice because we actually sang "Fix You" in the toy show, the song I auditioned with, and played with a couple other people like Ali Sherlock actually. She was on she sang "Fix You" with me, and we went up to Dublin to practice a couple. Such a surreal experience, like not only to get to play, like not only to fulfill one of your childhood dreams, but like to meet other kids who have interests in music like you and stuff like that. It was just so much fun.
So, have you taken part in any other kind of competitions or events? And can you tell us about those?
Well, I've been in a couple of busking competitions around here. In Burr in Ireland, there's a vintage week, and then there's a busking competition on one
Mm.
of the days. And I won a couple of years ago with another guy, but I came back. I did it every year since, and then last year I won by myself, which was so weird. Like it was such a good day. Like I was shocked, but it was so much fun. And yeah, that was my big busking. But there was also I did another busking competition in Moat a couple of times, and I think I came like. It's more about the experience and like having fun playing music than winning. But
Yeah.
I'd be so shocked that I won. Like it's so much crack. Like.
Well, okay then. So you have been recording your own singles since last year. Can you tell us about the whole how did that get started, and what was the whole experience like?
When I was at one day, actually, I remember one night I was just on Instagram and I was just like going through like loads of like music, and I think I texted loads of random pages and I was like, oh, just it'd be cool if you could check out my channel or whatever. And then I came across the Dublin City Rounders, which are the lads from the Beard Fire label, Ronan Al and their dad David, and they were like, oh my god, we'd love to have you come up to be interviewed for our radio show, and we'll play, one of your original songs with you. So I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. So I went up and we played my song Pretty Enough, like proper experience in the studio or anything like that. And then after that, I played in the art cafe with them in Dublin, a small little cafe. It's actually really gorgeous. And then they were like, "Oh, do you want to record your own single, like properly?" So that's kind of where it started from, and then just Breathe Baby came into play.
So when you went to record Just Breathe Baby, was it a difficult experience at all? Was it like intimidating to be in that kind of studio environment because you weren't used to it? Or do you think it was an easy enough process and that you were well guided?
I think I definitely wasn't used to the whole planning side and everything, because as me, like with busking and with just recording YouTube videos, it's a very kind of go with the flow, like, oh, I might sing it this way, or I might play it this way, or I can change it here. It's
Yeah.
very slow, whereas when you're recording, it stay the same.
Hmm.
So it was definitely process was definitely a bit strange for me. But going into the studio, like it was just so cool to see how everything comes together to create one big project, and it's to see it behind the scenes of how music is really made. Like it was so much fun. I didn't really find it difficult. It was definitely a different experience,
Yeah.
but I think I really enjoyed it.
Was there anything in particular that kind of stood out to you as a kind of a shock or something that you weren't expecting to happen or anything like that?
I don't think so. I think just the whole, like we sat down and we had notes of what we wanted in the song and stuff, and we wrote down ideas and all that. But I think that was just so different for me, because for me it's like, oh, I write down a list of songs I can play when I'm busking, or songs that I want to
Hmm.
down and record them. There's no big planning set, like, whereas with recording professionally, like it's planned, and you have to make like decisions that will last, which I struggle with. So it was definitely really fun, though. I don't think there was any like difficult or negative experiences, and the lads are so amazing as well, so it just made it better.
So you released the first single, it was in October of last year, and then the most recent single called 11 Years came out in May of this year. So can you tell us about what's the song about and where did the idea come from?
11 years is it's essentially about climate change and how we as a society kind of have forgotten about the importance of climate change. I wrote it last summer, actually. I wrote it, like, I think it was only a couple of weeks after I wrote Just Breathe Baby, because, I'm on social media, like, all these terrible things are happening, like plastic
Hmm.
pollution and global warming and all these things, and it really, like, it made me genuinely worried. I was like, why aren't people talking about this? Because you hear people in school and stuff, in public environments, whatever, talking like, oh, that's not real, like that's just a joke. People are overthinking and whatever, and I'm like, this is a serious issue. So I kind of wrote the song, sorry, to feeling about it, because I was feeling so worried, and like, oh my god, nobody is taking this seriously about it. So when I wrote it, it kind of made me feel a bit better. But then, yeah, so we were just chatting about another song we'd love to record, and I was like, 11 years would be a good, because it's one of my favorite songs I've written, and I was like, it would actually be a really good song to put out there, not only because I personally enjoy it, but people can find their own meaning in their minds to the idea of climate change. So yeah, that's kind of where it came from.
When you were writing the song, do you think it was hard to write about something that was, let's say, topical and something that was current?
I don't think I thought of it as that. I think I just kind of thought of it as it was my own personal response
Yeah,
um, to, the topic itself. So I putting the song out, it was very like, oh, like, people are going to be listening to my opinions, and obviously, it's not necessarily controversial, but it's a very everyone has their own opinions. So, people won't agree with you and will shut your opinions down, whatever, which is fine. But I didn't think of that when writing it. It was more my way of coping with the issue. Whereas when we
mhm.
were releasing it,
So, like, I actually think that there's been a lot of discussion around climate change and a lot of concern about climate change in the past couple of years. Do you think that's going to make a difference in the long
um,
term?
I really, really hope so, because up until a couple of years ago, you would have never heard anything about it really in mainstream media. It was all, um, hocus pocus. Like, it's not.
Mm.
Past couple of years, we've seen the damage that we've done, like with, as I said in the song, like, sea animals are dying out, species are dying out because of pollution
Yeah.
and waste, and like, temperatures around the world are rising significantly. So I think, science has kind of proved its point, at this stage, and
Okay.
people are really starting to take notice. So I really hope that, it is, and don't forget about it, because you do see there's a wave, whereas everyone's talking about it and then everyone kind of forgets about it, and you see that with a lot of like social issues and whatever. So I think I really hope that people don't forget that this is a problem, because it's not going to go away unless we change our opinions.
Okay. And can I ask why 11 years?
I seen this article, like, like I think it was like I wrote it, and it said essentially that it was like a Facebook article or something, and it said essentially that if we don't try and reverse, the problems we've created by like 2030, the like climate change will be irreversible, and there'll be no way to cure it, and we're essentially just a ticking bomb at that point. So I read that and I was like, I was like, terror 11 years came from, because it's like we have such a short amount of time to fix such a long term problem. So that's kind of another panic that I
Okay.
kind of tried to bring into the song.
So the song came out in May, and do you think that the message has resonated with people that have listened to the song?
I really hope so. Um I think who have told me they've listened to it have definitely, thought about what does like climate change mean to them, and what does all this, influx of waste mean to them, and what does our changing world mean to them, and think of it on a personal level in order to make a difference. But I definitely think, there's a global pandemic going on at the minute,
Yeah.
so obviously there are more important issues at stake right now, but it's still important to recognize build up, build up, whereas everyone's focused on one point, and then you can't fix it then. So I definitely think, with everything going on at the minute, it probably wasn't as received, because everyone is so worried about an issue which everyone should be worried about. But I definitely think people have, really listened to the message, which is really cool. Like, I never expected anyone to take what I say seriously. So it was
So, do you think that under like normal circumstances, let's say, like not under lockdown, do you think that the message would resonate differently?
Maybe I'm just happy that it was resonated the way it did, and that people actually listened to what I had to say, and kind of took my word seriously and not just as a piss take. And I'm really grateful for anyone who did listen to it. Like the song out when people actually listen to it. So I don't know. I feel like maybe not. Maybe people might have thought about it more, if there weren't other, important issues going on. But I'm really happy overall with how it went. So I don't really mind either way. Like,
You were saying the whole thing about people, especially before the past couple of years, have said things like, "Oh, this is nonsense. This is hocus pocus," that kind of thing. Did you get any kind of negative comments or negative responses to the song?
surprisingly, not really. I think one person was like, are you seriously like writing a song about climate change? Like, come on, Lauren. Like, come on. But I think other than that, surprisingly, no, everybody was kind of supportive and attentive and stood and respected what I was trying to say, which was so refreshing to see, because you do hear so many negative opinions about these issues.
Yeah.
So I definitely positively received as a whole, which thank God, because it's just mad that people are agreeing with me.
So in terms of releasing the song, I mean, it's one thing to record music and to write music and that kind of thing, but and I can definitely relate to this because of other people that I've interviewed. They've kind of said that it feels like you're putting on two hats when you're kind of promoting the music. Is that something that you kind of relate to?
um, I don't know, because I guess, like, I don't know, because I guess promoting it kind of, it comes along with the song release, and you want to get the message out there, and you want to, make people hear you as much as possible. Really difficult or annoying or anything to try and promote the song. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's not really much of a challenge the way you say it, in the way that social media is now. You don't necessarily see it as been a big challenge.
No, not really. I mean, I suppose it's kind of difficult because, there's so many new and emerging artists all over social media now. Song worth listening to.
Yeah.
That's probably biggest problem, getting it out on like Instagram, and that it's such a global network. You have people from all over the world. So what makes you worth people's time? So I think that's the only kind of issue, is trying to get your small little song out there in such a big world. But it's fun to rise up to the challenge, like, and it's
Mm.
fun point of view, and not from a, like, obviously business and all that. Like, it's important, but you have to look at it as from your passion. You're doing
Yeah, yeah,
music
yeah.
for a reason. Then, oh, how many plays is it going to get? You know what I mean?
Hmm. So you think kind of the competition or like the competitive aspect of it is the challenging part more than anything else?
Definitely, yeah. But I think people need to, forget the whole competitive side of it, and remember music and releasing music, which is their love for it, and their joy of sharing their word, and just the fun of music in general, and not necessarily, oh, I have to get more recognition than another person in order to do well. It's more, being happy within yourself.
Hmm. So,
Definitely.
so looking forward, do you have any more plans to record any more tracks anytime soon? Um, And if you do you have any ideas of what you want to record at this point in time?
I have another song that I definitely have another song that I want to record in the near future. So hopefully that works out and everything comes into play. But other than that, I was meant to be playing in Whelan's with Zoe Clark on the 20th of August. I'm not sure if it's going ahead yet or not, but hopefully. And other than that, it's just kind of still writing my songs and discovering myself more as an artist. For songs and busking and stuff like that. So it's a good few things I'm working on at the minute.
Do you have any kind of longer term goals? Do you ever for yourself as an artist, um like do you want to release like an album or an EP at some point in the future?
If the opportunity comes up, definitely. But I'm trying to not think about the future so much and put pressure on my future self that I don't know yet. I want
Okay.
to get like, oh, it'd be cool to do this, and it's not growing an attachment to it that you don't want. It's just going day by day,
Yeah.
enjoying it along the way. So hopefully in the future at some point, but I'm just kind of focused on now at the minute, playing more and maybe releasing another song in a few months, and just kind of taking it day by day.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We're nearly out of time. But just before we go, if people are looking online for Lauran Beth, where should they look?
Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, everything is just Lauran Beth. So if you just look up Lauran Beth, it'll come up. But yeah, I'm on like YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Twitter, all them things. So
Okay.
I'm in YouTube are I post on them the most. So yeah, that's where I am.
Okay, well, this has been Lauran Beth. Thanks very much, Lauren.
Dylan, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks very much. Bye.